When you renovate an old house, you don't need to demolish the entire structure. You keep the foundations, strengthen the weak beams, and modernize the design to suit the times. That's exactly what India's attempted with the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita of 2023, a brand new penal code. For over 160 years, we have lived with the Indian Penal Code of 1860, a colonial framework designed for control rather than justice. And now we finally have a chance to ask, will this new code serve the people or will it simply repaint the old walls? Hi, I'm Jerry and in this video we'll unpack the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, not like a dry lecture but as something to understand what's changing in your everyday life. Because whether you're a student, a professional or just someone trying to navigate society, the law is not like some distant theory. It touches your job, your freedom and your safety and even the words you speak. So, so you might ask, why replace the IPC? The Indian Penal Code was drafted in 1860 by Lord Macaulay when India was still under the British rule. Imagine that laws made for colonized societies still govern your daily life in 2023. The IPC criminalized things not because they harmed society, but because they threatened the British power. For example, sedition law under section 124A of the IPC used against freedom fighters like Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Mahatma Gandhi. The Supreme Court in Kedarnath Singh versus State of Bihar in 1962 tried to limit the sedition to a violent speech, but its colonial shadow remained. The new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita removes sedition altogether. Instead, it introduces a narrow offense of acts endangering the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. That's a big symbolic shift from punishing dissent to protecting the nation. Here's a practical takeaway. This means peaceful criticism of the government is not a crime, but actions that genuinely threaten India's sovereignty remains punishable. Society has changed drastically since 1860. Cybercrime, mob lynching, organized crime, these weren't imagined those days. The new code recognizes this reality. For example, mob lynching is now a specific offense with harsh punishment, acknowledging the tragic events that we witnessed in recent years. Think about cases like Tahsin Poonawalla versus Union of India, a 2018 case where court called mob lynching a horrendous act of mobocracy and it directed states to frame laws. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita finally codifies that. Another practical takeaway is that if you forward WhatsApp rumors or participate in mob violence, you're not just breaking general laws, you're violating a specific crime that India now takes very seriously. One of the key promises is time bound trials. For example, investigation must be completed within 180 days. That sounds great on paper, isn't it? But will our already burdened police force or courts can they keep up? We have seen delays crush lives. In Husainra Khatun versus State of Bihar in 1979, the Supreme Court highlighted the plight of under-trial prisoners languishing in jails for over many years without a trial. The new code wants to prevent that by setting deadlines. If you or someone you know faces a criminal case, these provisions could mean faster closure. Justice delayed should no longer mean justice denied. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita also strengthens provisions against crimes targeting women. For example, sexual harassment, voyeurism, stalking, all are clearly defined and punishable. These existed under the IPC, but the new code sharpens them. Think of the Nirabhaya case that happened in 2012, a moment that forced India to rethink laws on sexual offences. The Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013 brought major reforms, but gaps remained. Now, BNS attempts to close all those gaps. Understanding these provisions isn't just for lawyers. If you're in college or at work or using social media, knowing what counts as harassment empowers you to draw boundaries and hold others accountable. But here's the catch. Every new law that promises safety also risks misuse. Just like Section 498A, that is cruelty by husband or relatives against the wife, was intended to protect women, but at times it was misused. The BNS too may face such criticisms. You have to think law is like a double-edged sword. It can protect, but in the wrong hands, it can even wound a person. That's why awareness is your first shield. The law works best when citizens understand it, question it, and use it responsibly. Don't just fear the law, engage with it. Knowing your rights is half the battle. Knowing your duties completes it. What I see it is as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is like a mirror. It's been cleaned after many centuries. The reflection is sharper, but the cracks in the glass still remains. Law is like a guide, but it can't replace the values we live by it. Compassion, respect and justice in our daily choices. So you need to ask yourself, do I contribute to justice in small ways? Do I spread unverified news? Stay silent in the face of harassment? Or ignore when someone's rights are trampled? Laws change nations on paper, but citizens change them in reality. So, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is more than just a book of offences. It's India's attempt to align justice with today's societies. It removes colonial baggage, adds modern crimes, and promises faster trials and strengthens protections. But its true success will depend on how we, the people, live with it. Now, I want to ask you, do you think that Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is a genuine fresh start or just an old wine in a new bottle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read each and every one of them. And if this video gave you clarity, share it with at least one friend, because understanding the law is not just a lawyer's duty, it's for every Indian citizen. And remember, laws can shape society, but it's our choices that shape justice. Take care. Bye.